Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session, where we will be doing a short demo of the infinite possibilities of composable commerce. I am excited to introduce Contentstack's Nick Barron, who will be taking you through today's session. Nick, take it away.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Varya. We're going to take a quick look at how Contentstack can work with some other tools, specifically in the search and merch world, so that we can give our end users the best experience and help them get to that conversion point as quick as possible. So let's go ahead, and I'll just quick hello from myself. I head up our partner enablement team over here at Contentstack. Feel free to reach out to me on Twitter or via email. Any way is fine. So real quickly, what is composable commerce and why is it something that we should be talking about? Well, it's the idea of being able to pick and choose the best in class different bits and bobs of technologies and have them all integrate and work together to provide a seamless and beautiful and efficient user experience for the end customers themselves. One of the big values here is that you get to slowly replace the technology that you are indebted to. So if you think about things like a big commerce kind of implementation, you're going to have a lot of big backend server side rendering applications, right? And you can't just turn all of those off and sort of turn a bunch of headless technologies on. So one of the big values in this composable world is being able to kind of hot swap those things one at a time and slowly make that transition from sort of the legacy stack to a much more modern kind of technology. And of course, by doing that, we're able to pick not just the best in breed, right? We hear that term all the time, but the best for your needs. And I think that's much more important, right? It's not just what's the biggest, the brightest, and the best thing, but what really fits my organizational requirements, my business requirements. And what we're going to do is when we're thinking about these different composable elements, we want to focus on MACH technologies. So MACH is it's a real modern architecture, right? And you can see here it's based on microservices, API first, cloud native, and headless, right? So when all of those things are combined, you have a true MACH technology, and that is going to allow us to connect all these things together. It's going to be a great developer experience from the API side of things. It's going to have, true scaling with its cloud native SaaS solutions, not providing sort of the mandatory head requirements so that you can build whatever front end and interfaces you want for whatever channel and touch point you're trying to activate, and being able to do this in a nice consumable way through a set of microservices. And so when we look at what this might look like from sort of an architecture perspective or a mock-architecture perspective, if you will, we'll see that, we're going to start from sort of the content hub as the central repository for things. And as we're building out, let's say on the left in sort of pink, we'll see our commerce technologies. And then on the right, we'll see more of our modern, just sort of interaction technologies as well, right? So we're always going to have an e-commerce engine or some sort of commerce platform, product information, etc. But we're also going to want to focus in on search and merchandising, or searchandising, if you want to slam the two words together. We'll also see that we're going to need to activate things like personalization, DAM, testing and analytics, right? All of these things are going to help create a meaningful experience for the end customer. And then as our implementation builds out, we're able to bolt on all of these other, MACH or API platforms, right? So things like loyalty, product information, order management, payment, all the things on the left that go along with our e-commerce implementation specifically, and then on the right, all of the ancillary technologies that are going to connect together to provide a sort of a full platform. And this is really going to allow us to leverage different technologies as well, right? So moving past just the idea of something like a website, but into a variety of channels and touch points, enabling and being able to surface all of that across our entire ecosystem, right? So when we're talking about different MACH technologies and different things that Contentstack, for instance, integrates with, what we're going to see is that there's a whole variety, right, of different technologies that the platform either supports out of the box integrations with, or that we just have integrated with. Remember, it being API first and microservice focused means that even if you don't see something on this list, that's fine. As long as there's an API and some endpoints we can connect to, we can get the platforms hooked up and communicating with each other. And a great example of this is Contentstack, obviously your favorite content management system to use, as well as Constructor, a leading search and merchandising platform. So when we're looking at these, a couple of the key things that we want to take away real quick, right? What are some of the big USPs? What are the unique values being brought to the table? And it's that ability for us from the content stack side to deliver product and marketing content at scale across any number of channels, and doing that with all of the appropriate governance that we need, right? So when we're talking about large organizations with multinational content and all of these things across the entire globe, we need to make sure that that's being done in a controlled and responsible way. So being able to do all of that on the content side, and then plugging all of that in as well into something like Constructor, which is going to provide AI powered search and merch platforms, with all sorts of really neat technologies and things, right? So not just being able to say, hey, I want to have a search, right? It's very easy for us to take content, shift it over to get it indexed to provide that front end search, but then being able to personalize those search results that are coming out of the platform based on what the user has been doing, or what other users who are buying similar things or have a similar history with, and being able to get those recommendations done on a AI level, so that we don't have to sit there and create this torrent of rules, which we certainly could do in Constructor, but then the machine is going to start learning these behaviors and being able to make those intelligent suggestions and recommendations, as well as being able to do things like then embed some of those objects within the content stack editorial experience. And we'll take a look at that as well. So what does sort of the content in commerce world kind of look like, right? Is that we have, if we look all the way down at the bottom left, we're going to have our commerce platform, right? So a headless commerce engine, something like a big commerce or a commerce tools, putting that commerce information and connecting it with Contentstack. Constructor being aware of all of that, so it's indexing these things and making those smart recommendations. And of course, then we're going to want to embed things like marketing automation platforms as well that can make use of that. Then all of that's going to get delivered out onto, let's say, mobile, web, smart skills like Alexa and Google Home, any sort of AR, VR touch points that we're activating as well are going to become very beneficial there for our end users. And all of that information is going to end up on these sort of single channels, where we're going to see things like front-end components, where Contentstack is going to provide these as modular blocks, right? So those are little building blocks that we can drag and drop and put onto the different pages in the case of web, or they'll show up as viewpoints on a mobile app, etc. And we'll be able to see that we'll break down the individual elements within these components, right? So think of atomic design. That's the real value that we're having here. And if we look at all these things at the top, right, our big delicious looking turkey, our image, title, etc., all of those are different fields within Contentstack. But then down at the bottom, we're also going to be pulling in these different values, not just from Contentstack, but we're going to get the commerce data from the commerce engine. But what shows up here is actually going to be determined by the Constructor integration, selecting the right products to show to the right person at the right time. So let's go ahead and get out of SlideWire land, and let's go ahead and jump into Contentstack so we can actually take a quick look at how this is going to show up for us on the front end, as well as we'll be able to take a look at the backend applications, and we will be able to sort of see these things in action. So let's go ahead, and in Contentstack, we have a whole variety of different stacks, right? So these are going to be our different projects within the within what we call an organization. So we're going to go in here and we're going to kind of narrow down and take a look at how some of this data is flowing over. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our Constructor interface as well. And what we'll see is how these two things connect. So the first thing we want to take a look at, right, with any good sort of search interface that we're going to want to come in here, and let's go ahead and take a look at something like one of our products that we have. And we can see that this product, which happens to be a bottle of wine, and if we look at our status here, we're going to see that this is not published. So it's published on print, but it's not published elsewhere. So let's go ahead and log in to Constructor and take a quick look at what our index looks like. So if we take a look at our product index, which is reading directly from this platform, you can see there's a bunch of things in here. So let's go back a page and see that there are 133 items in there. If we simply come in here and we make a little bit of a change, hi there, webinar land. Oh, look at that, almost spelled it right, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and publish this out on a few different environments. This is now going to get sent over. And what's going to happen in the back end, and we can actually see this in action here, is that we have a constructor webhook. And if we look, we'll see that at this moment in time, on December 15th at 9:10, if we look up here in the top right, this is when we're recording this webinar. You might be watching this at a later date and thinking, how did I time travel? It's okay. It's just a recording. We'll see that this content has been sent over. And as we come over here, we're going to see that this should now be updated. And we can see that this was just modified. So that item has now been inserted in there. So very easily we can see, and we can also check things like our statuses, right? So Contentstack is going to do a great job of reporting any things like successes and failures. And you can see here, we're just looking at this for, a short period. So we can see here, a week ago or so, because I'd actually changed the keys in here, that we saw that something failed. So very simple for us to come in here and set up our webhook, right? So that whenever something is published, unpublished, or deleted, that event is going to be sent over to our middleman service, which is then going to reformat the JSON of the data and send that into our index. So the big takeaway there is, as we change things in Contentstack, we're also going to change things within Constructor. So the next thing that we're going to want to do is take a look at what does that allow us to do. So if we come over here and I load up my website, so this is that same website that had all those different bottles of wine, I can come in here and I can start searching for, let's say, red. And what's going to happen is this whole interface that we see here is coming directly from Constructor, right? So in true MACH fashion, this is just a front end. I think in this case, it's a React app that's running. And what's happening is, all the content that we see here is coming directly from Contentstack. The search capabilities is coming directly from Constructor. So we don't have to go in from one platform to another. The front end itself is just connecting asynchronously with all of the different technologies that it's connected with. So we can see here as I start typing, this is going to start suggesting different results for me. And as we dive into that, we're going to see the search results with all of the faceting and filtering that we would expect. And the neat thing that's actually happening is, as we're searching for these results aren't just these sort of the out of the box standard results. These are coming back from Constructor in a personalized way. So it's realizing that when people search for red and then they go through the shopping experience, these are the things that people have a tendency of ultimately purchasing. So it's not just looking at the sort of the search results world from sort of that legacy perspective of here's some indexing and here's the data, but it's constantly improving itself as time goes by. So here's where we're really providing that great seamless experience of connecting these multitude of technologies, right? So here we've got e-commerce, we've got document management, we've got content, we've got search and merch all happening at the same time. So it really provides that sort of best-in-class experience. Now, if we wanted to, let's say, jump into Contentstack and make use of some of the other objects that we might have, let's go ahead and jump over to my home page. What we're going to see is that we have a set of modular blocks here, right? So if we, kind of take a look at what these guys look like, we'll be able to see, we've got that carousel, a collection, we've got AB columns. And what that translates to is we can see that we've got that banner, we've got these different items, right? We've got those different items here on the home page that are coming directly from Contentstack. So within here, let's go ahead and get rid of some of these collections and let's move our AB columns up to the top. So as soon as we save this, and actually I'm going to go ahead and publish this because it's on my development environment here. If we publish this out, what we'll see is that changes in real time for us, right? So we're able to modify the page layout, how it looks, how it feels, and we get to reorder these things. So that's just an inherent kind of benefit of using Contentstack. But if I come in here and, I could choose my recommendations or collections, let's go ahead and pick a collection out of here. And let's call this Red for the holiday season. Let's show 4 items. And then what we're going to see here is that we're going to be able to pick from a series of collections. So where are these collections coming from? And let's change that from red wine to French wine. I don't think a Chardonnay is red. I'm not very much a wine person, so apologies there. So let's go ahead and change that up. And we're going to pick some items, and this is just going to select whatever the right objects are to come down, the right content, the right results from whatever that collection is. So now that we've put that onto our page, let's scroll down to see that. We can see our French wine for the holiday season. And oh, glad I changed that from red because none of these wines look red to me. All right. So we can see this is coming from a collection, but what is that collection? What is that list that was just dynamically generated for us? Well, if we jump over into our collections and we're going to pick the index, in this case, we're looking at our products. Oops, that's the wrong collection. That was our prime products. Let's go back. And if we look at our let's jump into our indexes. We'll see that we have a list of our, here we go, the products index. That's what we want to be looking at, isn't it? So we'll see here within our product index, we're going to have a series of collections. So I'm looking, oh, I'm in the wrong place. Silly me. Let's jump back over to the right place. Here we go. So here's that list of collections that we just saw, right? So as we were coming in here, we see this list that has some things called junk and dest. I probably should have removed those. I think Varia is going to get angry at me for not doing that. But if we come in here and we can look at our French Chardonnay index, we're going to see that this is going to be built up using at first a series of conditions that we have, where we can set this up to be a little bit more dynamic and let the AI engine go. Of course, since this is a demo environment, we don't really have any users buying anything or actually adding anything to their carts. So this is going to be a little bit better for us on this side, but there's a whole bunch of ways we can set up objects like collections. So what's happening here is as this is coming in, as these items are coming in, we'll be able to do things like come in here and we can modify these, we can rearrange the order of them. There's a whole bunch of different sort of benefits that we get by leveraging Constructor, so that as a content editor, just say, put whatever the best French Chardonnay wines are up here, I, as a content expert, get to do the content thing in Contentstack, and somebody who is a little bit better on the search and merchandising side is going to be using Constructor. So as experts, we get to be experts in the area that we need to, and that's all going to coalesce into an exciting and useful front-end experience that our end users are going to have. So we can see here, there's a few different layers to the integration between the platforms, right? We're able to do things like have all of our index, all of our content and products and information be sent to a variety of indexes. We're able to leverage some of the advanced capabilities like recommendations and collections coming out of Constructor. And we can even do things like just, click directly in from one application to another. So should I have permissions in both, I can seamlessly jump back and forth between those without needing to, sort of struggle like I was before to find, that I was connected to the right place. So, that is going to allow us to come in here, make changes to these things, do neat things, and then provide that best in class experience, not only to the organization who's leveraging these technologies, but again, most importantly, our most valuable asset, which is the end customer who's interacting on a variety of channels. So thank you guys very much for taking a brief look with us at how content and commerce can come together to create rich and meaningful experiences. And have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much. Take care.